Good afternoon. As was already said, my name is Rebecca Longhurst, and I'm graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology with minors in both English and Biblical and Theological Studies. 4 years ago, I decided to leave the shelter of North Kildonan and move into residence at CMU. In the 2 semesters that followed, I learned what it was like to feel completely accepted, and in turn became fully comfortable with the person I was. This was due specifically to the kind of community fostered by CMU, one defined by its generous acceptance of each individual and its commitment to their personal growth. By the spring of 2012, I felt as if I had been given the opportunity to fully settle into who I was and into my place in the community. However, it was in the next fall that I began to feel the stirrings of discomfort. I was taking a psychology course with Dr. Lois Edmond, Traumatic Conflict. The course explored the psychological effects of destructive interpersonal relationships, as well as various methods and theories that could be used to help. Dr. Edmond suggested that it was important to look for joy in everyday life, that it would help us balance the tragedies that we would no doubt encounter. Her suggestion was to look at children. Where else, she said, can you find such authentic joy? I clearly recall sitting at my desk that day feeling discouraged. 4 summers at my church's day camp had instilled in me a love for seeing the world through the eyes of a child and a passion to work with them in a professional capacity. It was here that I began to wonder, what if my work with children, my vocational passion and calling, also turns out to be the source of my deepest discomfort and despair? I chose to complete CMU's practicum requirement in the middle of my degree. With its emphasis on experiential learning, it was as if CMU was saying to me, "You're comfortable? Good, that's great. Now it's time for you to go out and be uncomfortable with the world." I did just that. I applied for a program called Mennonite Voluntary Service and was placed at a preschool in inner city Chicago called Erie Neighborhood House. I lived in a communal home in Pilsen, a Mexican-American neighborhood that was gang-controlled and undergoing the controversial process of gentrification. Spanish was spoken more often than English, and I was consistently the only Caucasian commuter on my bus rides to and from work. My housemates and I made the commitment to live simply, a commitment that extended to our food, transportation, and entertainment needs. I was out of my comfort zone, and I was uncomfortable. For the majority of my time at Erie, I worked in the apple tree classroom. I was fortunate enough to have been placed at an organization that had a full-time psychologist with a concentration in play therapy on staff and a partnership with the psychology master's students at the University of Illinois at Chicago. They encouraged me to ask questions and engaged me in conversations about the children's mental health. There were 8 children in my classroom, and it was in them that I began to comprehend the tragedy that this career path can include. Alonzi had speech problems. Miguel suffered from severe eczema. Dakota had attachment issues. Jade was a selective mute. Anthony displayed overt aggressive behaviors. Naomi disappeared for long periods of time due to what we suspected were troubles at home. Andy was neglected, which was clear from the stench of his blankets and clothes, and Kenfi consistently wet the bed. By the 2nd month of my term, I was extremely discouraged. I wondered, what is the point of the good we do during the day if it is undone at home? What was the point? The point was that within 4 months of working with a speech therapist, Alonzi and I could have conversations together. The point was that Jade eventually became comfortable enough to not only say a few words, but to laugh. The point was that with play therapy, Dakota stopped showing signs of separation anxiety. The point was that I made sure Miguel applied his eczema medication and the rashes all over his body started to go down. I learned that while children may be the source of my tragedy, they can also be the source of my joy at the same time. And that's the point, isn't it? My passion is supposed to make me uncomfortable. It's supposed to challenge me. In fact, it's supposed to make me see the tragedy in the world, so I am driven to keep studying and keep learning for my kids in Chicago and for all the other kids I will one day work with. When I returned to CMU the following year, I was determined to try to continue to live with some degree of discomfort, to integrate it in some way with my comfortable existence here. While my first 3 years of studies in psychology had helped prepare me for my time in Chicago, I couldn't help but wonder what change I could effect if I knew even more. This question shaped my last 2 years here at CMU. The professors, authors, and students that I engaged with consistently encouraged me to think critically and push myself. Instead of approaching my courses with the sole intention of getting an A, I approached them with Alonzi, Miguel, Dakota, Jade, Anthony, Naomi, Andy, and Kenfi in the back of my mind, challenging myself to learn new things for them and other children like them. Over the course of my time at CMU, I have learned the importance of living with both comfort and discomfort. I have come to understand the importance of a solid foundation in an accepting community, but I have also come to understand the essential nature of making oneself intentionally uncomfortable. As I look forward to what lies ahead, I hope to carry these ideas with me and to continue the integration of both tragedy and joy. Thank you.